If you've enjoyed the content we've made so far in 2023, we're asking you to go to patreon.com/kindafunny and toss us $10 to say thanks as part of August Kinda Funny Patreon pledge drive. That 10 spot would get you access to more than 300 exclusive episodes of content, and to give you a taste, we're posting one of our Patreon shows just like this each Saturday and Sunday in August. Enjoy. Hey everybody, it's me, Tim Geddes. I might look like I'm alone, because I am right now, but soon, very soon, within seconds, maybe a minute. I just saw him walk back in the other room. Oh, he's coming. He's coming. We are seconds away from being joined by bitch Courtney himself, Barrett Courtney. Right before we started recording this, I was saying all the different Barrett names, and I
you started with a bit, and I was like, "Are you about to call me bitch Courtney?"
No, I wasn't, and then I was like, "Now I'm going to."
Yeah, I put it out there into the universe, and like, whose theory is it? Whatever can happen will happen. From fucking that Nolan movie, Interstellar.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Remember when we fucking like traveled through time to be like, I'm sorry
About love.
Yeah, it is about love.
It's always about
What
love.
a fucking weird movie.
What a really rude. I love it though. It's so good. I've
That
appreciated it more over time.
See, it's one of those ones where I haven't appreciated it more or less since I first saw it over the years. Every time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. You know?
Very fair. Very fair. Because there's a lot going on in it.
Yeah.
I feel like the hype moments of it, though, are like unrivaled. The first 2/3 of the movie, I'm like, this is fucking phenomenal. The last third, I understand, kind of like
Yeah, we're
getting
all
a
weird.
little too heady.
Yeah,
and it either works
yeah.
for you or it doesn't. And
Shout out to Matt Damon, though.
Oh, shout out to Matt Damon, dude. My guy.
What a cameo.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's one of those weird things where I've put so much time into Zelda in the last 10 days that time has no meaning. Like I was going through, we back up a lot of our shows just in case it all burns down. We have to re-upload every piece of content we've ever made, right? So I was backing things up and then deleting things off a computer. And it was like 2 weeks ago or like 11 days ago or whatever that we were doing the launch day Zelda stream. So I was like, that was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was just the other day.
Like that, for sure. It's wild, man. I haven't been this enamored with a game in so long, except Pokemon Scarlet and Violet happened in November, and but before that, it was like it's been a very long time that a game I'm just lost in a way. Like God of War Ragnarok and stuff, I was like addicted to it. I'm like, I need it.
But that's like a week one and done kind of thing. Even doing a lot of like the cool side content.
Yeah. So this, having Zelda or Jedi Survivor lead right into this, like, man, and then Final Fantasy 16 right around the corner, like, I can't believe it. And then Spider-Man 2, weird days away from seeing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm scared with Final Fantasy 16. It's one of those where it's like I'm riding off the hype of you and Chaim and Andy, and I don't like. I really want to like the game, but at the same time, I hope it's just like another Final Fantasy game that doesn't hit for me.
Yeah,
because like after Tears of the Kingdom, like I need to not look at a video game for like a good couple months.
It is very different though. Like I played about 6 hours of it, and it's very story heavy. Like it's extremely story heavy.
Yeah.
I should have brought this up in Games Daily actually. Like it's cutscenes, man.
Yeah.
Cutscenes.
Well, even that, just like being in video, like just living in video games for like the last month. Because I said earlier on Games Daily of like, I put 68 hours into Jedi Survivor. I know for the platinum, and I did all of that within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then now I'm like roughly 75 hours into Tears of the Kingdom after 10 days. Like I need to not fucking stare at a screen while playing something,
What's your mix of handheld versus docked?
For Tears of the Kingdom, I started docked, and that's because I started Breath of the Wild docked, and like back in the day, living at you remember that tiny apartment that we used to live in near the beach. And, at the time, it felt like a big TV to me of what we could fit into that tiny apartment. But I started Breath of the Wild on the TV, and I wanted to do the same thing for Tears of the Kingdom. So I've been trying to the best of my ability to like have main quest stuff be on the big screen, especially because of being as vague as possible of just like some of the kind of sequences you get into some of the main quest stuff. It's like I need that full immersion, like having that big screen with all of that. I failed a couple of times because there are times that I've been here and I'm like, the next thing I have to do is like this quest. I might as well just do it here. So yeah, a lot of like exploring shrine side adventure stuff in handheld, and to the best of my ability, trying to do main quest stuff on the big screen. And
Yeah, I've kind of been the same way where definitely wanted to start it on the big screen and any of the main big stuff. When I can tell
that
opening coming up,
opening on the fucking big screen,
come on,
so good.
But I'm so impressed with how great it is as an experience on handheld, because
like Breath of the Wild, where it's like I feel like the shrine kind of like a design philosophy around it makes it such a good handheld. Like, I'm gonna knock out a shrine or 5 and then just like not even think about it for a little bit.
And that's so cool. We talk about Peace Walker a lot. Peace Walker, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Okay,
not Peacemaker.
Yeah,
on the PSP. Yeah, and that game kind of taking the Metal Gear formula and designing it around like, all right, cool. This is going to be a bit more come out mission based gameplay that we've then seen kind of get back into the core Metal Gear franchise after that with just 5, I guess. But it changed the way that game kind of was, what our expectations are of a Metal Gear game. And I feel like Breath of the Wild in so many ways did that. But I don't think we talk enough now about how well designed it is for that handheld play and docked play, like how it can so seamlessly be like this epic adventure, but then also just be like, oh yeah, you're just popping and doing a couple things here. Like I feel like that's something that even like Mario hasn't cracked the code on yet. Like with Odyssey, there's a million things to do.
I think Odyssey, I don't think does it well enough or as well as like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but there's still a little bit of like the how much time it takes to actually like get moons or whatever.
Yeah,
I think there's still a little bit of that philosophy in there of like, go explore and find some moons for a couple minutes or whatever.
It's hard for me to put in words why, but I feel like Mario Odyssey handheld is a lesser experience than docked. But like, there's still rewards. Though, yeah. It's still like, I think the gameplay is good for the bite size kind of in and out gameplay. But I think that just the experience overall, like the platforming, the way the game's designed, I think there's something about Zelda because of how open it is and because of how much time it takes to get from one place to another, whether you're running with the stamina meter or with a horse or anything. That I think lends itself to the handhelds like working a little bit better, because then I feel like there's less like big
noise kind of like being thrown at you. I definitely see that. Where do you stand on Kirby?
Kirby and the Forgotten Lands.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a game because of the like, actually, I think I just cracked the code of what I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's the soundtrack. I think that when a game has like the ever present soundtrack, the absolutely pumping jams and all that. Stop. I feel like that kind of like, I want the full TV experience and it feels like there's a lot going on. Whereas Zelda being as chill as it is with a little, here's a couple piano keys here and there. Like I feel like that.
And that makes sense with like kind of the bigger sequences where like, I don't think you've gotten to like your first big experience in Zelda yet, but the sequence in, Andy and I were talking about this over the weekend, the sequence in music in these big set piece like areas are like chill inducing.
And I'm so
fucking good.
Stoked for that because I mean, you know me in music and stuff. I feel like Breath of the Wild, I love how different it is, and I love how it doesn't go the bombastic route because it's different, it fits the vibe and stuff.
The soundtrack is the nature in that game.
Absolutely. And it's great. It's beautiful. But when I go back to listen to Zelda music, I don't find myself going to Breath of the Wild unless it's the trailer music. Like I go to like the super big hype stuff,
or like the the Hyrule Castle.
But getting to Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild, that was like a holy shit! Like this is so thrilling, and
they really like held back, and then like they've gone all out for the sequel,
and that's why I can't wait to get more of it.
What we were talking about this earlier today. In Ocarina of Time, one of the iconic, not like big bombastic tracks, but the do 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 do. Where does that play? Because I'm convinced it's a shop, but like a Blessing was saying maybe that's a town, and I'm
Isn't that Kakariko Village theme?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
See, I thought Kakariko was a bit more calm. Or maybe I'm just thinking of Epona's theme.
Village. Arena.
Because for whatever reason, I hear that like that track triggers. I've just walked into a door as Kid Link, and
this is Kakariko. You're right. It's a lot the chill one.
because I was gonna say I think Kakariko, at least in Breath of the Wild, I think pays homage to that track, not fully, but like you get a little bit of it. So I'm blanking on what the fuck.
This is Castle Town. What is that theme?
Do like shop music.
Do it again. No, this is the shop.
That's the shop?
Yeah.
Where's... Ooh. I don't know if you guys could hear this.
This is a jam.
This is a pumping jam. What is the... not Korok Forest. Yeah, no, the Deku village.
Let's see. Kokiri Forest.
Kokiri, thank you. Not this.
No, this is different.
Let us know in the comments.
Lost Woods. Let's go. No, of course
no,
not.
Lost Woods is...
What the fuck? Wait. I'm like tripping balls right now. Like how...
I know. It's driving me insane. And this is very engaging podcast.
You know what? People love it.
I know.
Man.
We're like... Because I know like people are watching this and they're screaming at us. Of, like,
they know the answer.
Yeah, they know the answer.
Tell us the answer. Why aren't you helping us? Right, let's see. Deku Tree. No.
Is there different shop music? Or is
Doesn't
there like
look
specific
like
shop
it.
music?
No.
It's
There
not
is
the
shop
same.
music, but it's the one I played earlier.
There's not like, oh, this is like the game shop place, or this is the God, Ocarina of Time soundtrack is just fucking so good.
It's great, man. All right, I'm gonna spend one more minute looking for this. Ooh. Could it be Lon Lon Ranch?
No, because that's gonna be Epona's theme.
Okay.
God, Lon Lon Ranch. Every area of that game is fucking iconic sound, iconic music, and of course the one piece of music I can't fucking put my finger on of where it was.
Dude.
I think that's when you race Epona.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't
You
know.
know the track.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, leave in the comments below where that track plays in Ocarina of Time. I assume, too, it's probably used in other Zelda games. But I feel like Ocarina is, like, the one that, like, it came from.
Give it to me one more time.
I've lost it at this point.
Fuck.
We've listened
Yeah,
to
I know.
so
We
many
fucked it
different
up.
tracks,
We
so
fucked
I've
it up.
completely...
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure 1 million people, well, 10 people probably
Yeah,
have already
yeah,
told
yeah.
us. Let's get into some questions.
Let's
We don't
do
have
it.
too many questions this month, but we do have a couple for me and you, Barrett. Remember, thank you for all your support over on Patreon. Every month we do this with a different combo of people.
Yeah, it's my third time doing this.
yeah.
The first time I did it with Greg, and I remember that was a work from home era thing, and Greg was so busy, and in the last second he was like, hey, can you host it? I was like, sure, cool. And then the last time I did it, I think was with Mike, so yeah.
There we go. We got Cozy Bear writing in, saying, what are your favorite and least favorite things about taking care of your pets? You got Lulu.
I do
One
have
of the
Lulu.
prettiest dogs I've ever met in my life.
She's looking more like a retriever every day because we haven't groomed her in a while. It's usually like winter break and then spring break and then the summer. But spring break we were both pretty busy, so we didn't have time to take Lulu to get groomed. And the one lady she likes at the place that we go to only works on the weekdays. So we're gonna school's almost out, so she'll get groomed soon. But because she's got like this really long coat, she's looking more like a retriever than she does usually, kind of a weird Chihuahua retriever mix. So I'm trying to think of my least favorite thing of taking care of Lulu. This girl does not know how to take a shit. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
It's one of those like she has to find the perfect spot. You know, like they do their sniffing and stuff, but she does it in like a panicked way. She's like, it's about to come out. I gotta find the perfect spot. It's like, it's all dirt. It's all grass. You can just take a shit anywhere. So her, like, I know it's not a big deal, but her getting nervous makes me nervous.
Yeah.
And then she does the thing, you know, like the kind of classic pose where they're pooping, but then like, she walks while she does it, or like a lot of dogs will like, kind of stay still. They've picked their spot and they know they just gotta like kind of dig their paws in just to like get the poop out. And then she's just fucking like squat walking, just like, and it just fucking, it makes me so nervous. Of course, like a lot of times, shit like I know that a poop has gone wrong when it's like a lot of the poop has come out, but then she keeps doing her squat walk, and I'm like, something like stuck, or she had a string, or
hair,
or like
something.
a hair, or
Good
some bullshit.
Lord.
And it's more often than not that happens, and it's just So that's probably my least favorite thing. My favorite thing, taking care of Lulu, not just about Lulu herself. I don't get to do it as much because we're working in office, but I did really love in the work from home era, especially when like Alyssa went back in person to school. That's when Lulu kind of finally warmed up to me and started respecting me of like, oh, you're someone who takes care of me, and I see you as a loved one, and not just like a dude I growl at most of the day, and like only when I feel like playing am I friends with you. I loved going on walks with Lulu and just kind of like getting lost in our neighborhood. There's so much to like kind of explore in our corner of the city. And especially in the work from home era where you're just fucking staring at screens the entire day and you're just like constantly on the internet. It was like when I went to take out Lulu for lunch, like I like unplugged from the internet of like, I don't look at my phone when we go on walks, and I just like, I put in AirPods and I listen to music or a podcast, and I just like, we would just get like lost for like an hour to an hour and a half. And that was like always the most fun thing. And whenever like we do like weird like or scheduled work from home days because Kevin's like making a computer or whatever, I'll be able to get to do that again from time to time, and that's always nice to just kind of unplug, get out into the fresh open air, and just like kind of have her like a little bit of alone time. Because on the weekends, like it's the trio, it's me, Alyssa, and Lulu, but sometimes it's nice for just the two of us.
Yeah, a little bonding time.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
Shaking things up. Yeah, I'm real similar to you with a lot of that stuff. I have both Moose and Toretto, and like they could not be better or worse depending on the moment that I'm talking about them. Like I love them so much. Like they get along so well. Like they are best friends. They are brothers,
awesome.
and like it's so.
Did you
so
take,
cool?
Moose to like meet Toretto or
No.
anything? Okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean we went from seeing a picture of Toretto to him living with us in the matter of 6 hours. Like, and yeah, so it's like literally.
So
like
it was like a big gamble of these
totally.
two dudes were going to be homies.
And immediately it was like night one, like Toretto was scared out of his mind. That hasn't changed much,
Right.
but Moose was there for him, and like they like cuddled together, and like from that moment on, I was like, I
That's
got
so
you,
cute.
bro.
I remember how scared Lulu was like when she first got home, because it like she was a rescue from Puerto Rico, so it was like, and the place that we got her from, it was like she wasn't there yet, but they knew that like her and her litter were coming. They had pictures, and Alyssa and our roommate at the time, who was living with us and Andy a couple of years back, they had been looking for a dog for months, and they saw a picture of Lulu and her sibling who were coming up, who is now named Chicken Nugget. Which is fucking hilarious. Alyssa saw that photo and she really wanted Lulu, but wasn't sure if Lulu was still going to be there by the time they got there. And she was like, I really want Lulu. I'll have to go with, like, if she's not there, I'll go with this dopey looking chicken nugget looking motherfucker. But Lulu happened to be there. And so I think within like a span of like a little over 24 hours, Lulu had like been in Puerto Rico where she was like born and spent like the first, I don't know, like 6 months of her life. And then went on a plane, which was probably very traumatizing for her, and then went to a stranger's house. And then after warming up to those strangers, a different stranger came to that house and took her away, and then came to a house without her siblings. Because when she got picked up, like she came up with her sister, but like a bunch of the other siblings were already there. So she had like 4 other siblings that she like was able to be with, and then she came to a house full of strangers with no siblings. And I remember just
dark. Man. Like when you start
kind
thinking
of fucked
about
up when you think about it.
It's so fucked up. And yeah, it's like that for both Moose and Toretto, we got them at the exact same time where they were 10 weeks old each. And they're about a year apart, so it was just funny kind of seeing the same process happen again as they grow and change. And it's also funny to look at them and like how when we see them when they're like little tiny dudes and be like, oh, I know exactly what you're going to look like when you get bigger. And like, they're both not what we expected in completely different ways. But yeah, it's funny because like, what's my favorite thing? And again, it's about taking care of the pets versus just the pets in general.
Right.
That's hard to distinguish, I think. But like, my favorite thing is like everything. I am obsessed with them. I love them. It is like Moose and Toretto are my favorite things on this planet. Like, that's just how that works.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird that it's like, I didn't know I was capable of this level of love and of
Yeah.
this level of like joy and happiness that something brings me. It's like
100%.
literally every day I think about them and it makes that moment better. I get home and like, see them and like get to hold them and like fuck around with them.
And they get so excited that you're home.
Great.
Yeah,
and like
it's so good. I remember I forget if it was before they had like found Lulu on with like whatever program that they had adopted her from, or if it was just like in the middle of them trying to find a dog to adopt. But I remember saying of like I'm scared of bringing a dog into the house because like I don't know if I'm gonna love them like I love like my dog back home. Zoe, who's a rescue Chihuahua that my mom adopted right when we first moved to San Francisco. So this was like 2009, and like I was not a part of the adoption process. I did not pick Zoe. I think I was like out with some friends or whatever, and then came home, and there's just like this tiny like Chihuahua there. And when I came home, I was the first one that she like wagged her tail at and got excited about. So that's why I got to name her. And I named her after Zoe, which is your love interest at the very end of Bully. I don't know if you like the redhead punk girl. And I fucking love Bully, and I think I had just been having to like replay it around that time. So and she means a lot to me. Like she's still alive and kicking. Yeah, man, which is insane because I think when they got her, it was like they didn't know exactly how old she was, but like the estimate was like maybe a year and a half, and like we're like 14 years later, and she's still around. Whenever I FaceTime my mom, she will hear my voice and get all excited and stuff. Awesome. And whenever I go home, she's still like, playing with her is the easiest thing because you just stare at her for a long time and then you go like this, and then she just fucking runs on her own like around the house.
So funny.
And anytime I go home, even with how old she is, she still does that shit, and it's fucking awesome. So I was like, she means a lot to me, and it was sad when my mom and the rest of my family kind of moved from California back home to Ohio because obviously I miss them, but it was also like that's my dog. Yeah. So I was like scared about like getting another dog and how that all would all feel, and then it's fucking funny to think about that a couple of years later, where it's like Lulu is such my dog, Yeah. Where I posted the picture the other night where I think it was Friday night where I wanted to stay up after the long stream that we did and play Zelda, but then I just fucking passed out cuddling Lulu. Yeah. It was fucking great.
No, that's great. My least favorite thing, I mean, it's so much shit with Moose. Toretto is an angel. Like 10 out of 10, no notes. Like any con that he has, it's just like his bark's kind of stupid. Like it's things like that. Like it's like learn either don't do it or figure it out. Like whereas Moose is just like I don't know where along the line he just like got some bad habits and it sucks trying to break him, but like he barks like an asshole, and it's like, dude, you need to stop, man. Like he like Pomeranians take their guard dog job very seriously. That's what everyone always says, and it's just like you can chill out a little bit. Like you don't need to bark at everything.
Lulu's very similar, and that's like the weird because she's like a mutt essentially, and like the closest things they got in DNA was like she's like a third Chihuahua, a third Retriever, and the last third they don't even fucking know. And like you definitely, the older she has gotten, the more into her Chihuahua habits she's gotten into. So it is very like I'm small and I'm guard doggy and stuff, and because she was also a COVID pet, like getting strangers into the house is like a kind of a process where you have to like just don't look her in the eye. She sees that as a challenge, and like hilarious. Besides that, she'll probably like be your shadow and like make sure like just to see where you're going throughout the house. But like she's still like a tiny dog. Like if she nips at you, she's tiny, it won't hurt. Like a friend of ours really pushed her buttons and like wanted to see it, like pushing the envelope to see like how far she goes, and he was like, oh, she snaps, but then she like the snaps are just like kind of little gnaws or whatever, but it's still like I don't know like where in her like brain where she like went from being this cute little dog that we would take out on walks and she would sit at any stranger that she saw to wait for pets. She went from that to being like, fuck anybody who isn't my crew, and I don't know where the fuck that happens.
It's weird. Yeah. It's really weird, especially when I have both of them, and I'm like, why is one of them like this and one like this? It's weird. But the least favorite thing about taking care of them, for sure, is I got two white little fluff balls. All right.
Oh, the hair.
And when tummy's hurt, things are coming out bad.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a disaster, man. The amount of 3:30 a.m. like, oh, I guess that bone that they tried, that wasn't good for them.
Yep.
And me and G have to get up and God,
wipe their butts.
It's very funny too because Toretto, like, I don't know what it is, but he just hasn't had the experience as like early as Moose is and as often. So trying to wash him, he's like, the fuck are you doing? Like if we pick him up and put him near the sink, he freaks out. He's like, he's like a cat.
Yeah.
Moose,
Same
he knows what's up, man.
Yeah.
He sits there, puts his hands up, puts a little butt out. He's like, wash me.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's hilarious.
Lulu will like shake. It's funny. We have 2 bathrooms in our apartment. And Andy has the bathroom that has like the one tub, so Andy shares a shower with Lulu essentially.
Love that.
And so anytime she hears not the shower, but like she knows the noise of like filling up bath, and whenever she hears that, it's like shake. Oh my god, this is gonna be the worst day of my life. And it's like we've done this time and time again. I feel like you know why we do this, and I feel like it's not gonna be that big of a deal because you're gonna get out. We're going to dry you up, and then you're going to do little zoomies around the house, and it's going to be fun.
The zoomies after being wet is the funniest thing.
It's just like them getting dry, but it also like feels like they're like super hyped up for some reason. Not even just trying to get dry.
He runs to his bed and just starts scratching the bed like a fucking crazy person, and he just starts tornadoing around, and it's like, you're not even drying off here. Like, we do a pretty good job drying him. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
What Lulu will do too is like, and this is why like we immediately have to like take her out of the tub with a towel wrapped around her, and like I'll hold her for like 5 minutes because we have a towel that can like soak in the water pretty easily. Because what she'll do is after a bath, she'll immediately go either to the couch or our bed and start rolling around. Not to dry her off, but I think she likes being stinky. So that's it's like hilarious. She's like trying to like regain her like stink stuff. It's
her stink stuff.
Yeah, it's that's one of our nicknames for her is Stinky.
Oh god, Toretto Stinky, dude. Jesus Christ, that boy. I don't know what's wrong with him. He smells so his breath. It's like, dude. And we do all the greenies, all the like. Oh my lord.
Yep.
Anyways, love those little dudes. Jared Meyer writes in and says, "Hey guys, Tim. Could you ever see KF expanding its entertainment side of things? By that, I mean have more regular scheduled content around movies and TV. May even bring in a blessing-like hire that focuses on entertainment. While I do enjoy the game side of things, content like screencast and interview are what I enjoy most, and I'd love to see that expanded and bring in a new audience." And then there's another question for you that we'll get to in just a second.
Yeah, because there's some things to unpack here.
So with the entertainment side of things, my honest answer is no, I don't. I think anything can happen. I don't see Kinda Funny expanding anytime soon. Like I feel like we're in a really good spot with what we do. And I also think that in terms of the entertainment and like the blessing hire of the game side and all that, like I just feel like we already do so much entertainment coverage, whether it's the screencast we do or in review, that most of the things that we would cover, we are covering in some way. I feel like a lot of the other stuff like news drops and stuff, we could always do a random video if we wanted, trailer reactions, we do those, and then little mentions on the streams or podcasts or stuff. I just think that like tripling down on the actual entertainment side, the way that we do video games, I think that we just learned that we don't have the group for that. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we all come from this industry, which granted IGN was also like a grab bag of a bunch of different nerd culture, but especially like the San Francisco location, at least, like we're engulfed in the video game side of things. And it's like we have knowledge of how the movie industry works, but I don't know if any of us are like so in the weeds.
See,
like,
I am, and that's my problem is that I don't have anyone else to talk to. Like that. Like I wish I could do a Kinda Funny Games daily for
screen, like entertainment
but
stuff.
Not only do we not have people that want to do that, and whenever we try, it just ends up not working. Also, the audience isn't there for it in that same way for us. And, and like, I get the answers, just bring someone on. It's like, bringing someone on is like, it's
that's
so
much. It's
so much. And like,
process.
And it also has to be worth it. It has to bring someone on.
It's got to be something that we're confident enough in that it would pay off to like make in some way, shape, or form, make the audience show up for something that we're making regular content out of, for sure. And that's why I love the appreciation for whenever we drop an episode of Kinda Anime where people are like, this needs to be a monthly show and whatever. And like, I knew ahead of time of like, this should be like a Patreon, like bar thing that we did back in October. We just do a few episodes because I knew like, we also weren't going to have like the numbers to like kind of justify like a monthly show or anything. And that's just because, it's one of those weird, like we're not entirely known for that. we also like don't have a lot of like the expansive expertise, not just like one, like, yeah, like you and Joey, I feel like are like most in tune of like movie and entertainment industry, like deep dive kind of stuff. But the rest of us are a little bit more like casual on like our understanding of those things. So yeah, it's a whole process to figure all that stuff out.
There's just a lot. I mean, the honest short answer is our goal is always to make the content we want to make that we think you guys want.
Yeah.
So we're always trying that, and I feel like sometimes that might not be clear looking at things. It's like, oh, like, why don't you guys do screencasts like you used to? And it's like, there's not interest here in doing that. And it's like, we've tried and we do it every once in a while. And whenever people are like, oh, I just want to hear an episode of what everyone's been watching, we do those and no one watches them.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I there's that thing of you need to be consistent in order to get the views.
Yeah, like
at this point,
up,
we do so many other things consistently that it is a time resource thing in so many ways, whether it's who's on the shows, who's prepping the shows, who's running the shows.
Right.
What other shows do we need to make that are using this set, that are using the other sets? Like, there's only so much resources we can do because of how we built everything.
Yeah.
We built everything to work so that, and I say this with like really putting my foot down, we're not going to have layoffs because we build this in a way that works. And when you balloon and when you add way too much shit, that's when things start happening, when things aren't checking out, when the numbers aren't hitting right.
Yeah.
People get let go. And I don't want that to happen. So we need to be really smart about every choice we make when it comes to growth from where we're at. But the other side of it is I definitely want to do more entertainment stuff. I definitely been thinking about how to. But here's a good example is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Our entire team just gave up on Star Wars. That makes it really difficult.
You have me on Star Wars content. That's how you know that everybody else has checked the fuck
Which
out.
I love, and you're so knowledgeable, and I love talking to you about Star Wars. It's great. It's
but like, and I understand of like knowing me and like the I don't know, like where I'm at in the company. It's like I'm not a Greg Miller or Nick Scarpino where people like want to really hear like their takes on Star Wars. So it's like again. The fact that like I'm on the shows, it's like a good showcase of like, yeah, they just don't give a shit anymore about that.
And you know, there's so many layers here.
Yeah,
I want to be extremely clear. You're the guy that should be on Star Wars stuff. I love doing Star Wars show with you.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is just a reality to the fact that when me and you are on a show that doesn't have Greg or Nick or like, it's all of a sudden like there are people that are just like, I'm just not going to watch that. And that sucks. Yeah. It's like, but that's realities we have to deal with, you know, because then when we get
people are missing out on us talking about space serial figures and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. But when we get like Greg on a movie content or TV show content that he doesn't want to be a part of, it's fucking clear. And then that is bad content and we don't want to be, it's this weird self-fulfilling prophecy that like we're trying our best to manage, and that's why we get Carboni and Sage. It's like, cool, let's get people that actually want to be here and talk about this. And I love it. Like I love doing that. Having said that, it costs money. Anytime we get guests, we're paying for every appearance they're on, and it's like that's fine, that's great. But it's like now all of a sudden the show that needs to get X amount of views is struggling to get those views, and now we're paying on top of that. So it's like these are all little tiny things that if this then that we just need to always be aware of. So
and that would be even heightened trying to think of, to bring it back to the question of trying to build out an entertainment equivalent for what we do with video games and then bringing on new people and all that stuff. So,
yeah. There's a lot. We're trying our damn best and we appreciate it.
Did you see that Ray Stevenson passed?
I did.
Yeah.
What a bummer, man.
It's going to be sad when we watch Ahsoka in a couple months. It's like, oh, shit.
Dang.
Man.
Yeah. And then they also write and say, Barrett, I love your special presentations, your gaming interview series, and anytime you're on camera. When you think of yourself in 5 years, in what ways do you hope you'll continue to grow and evolve with your role at Kinda Funny?
It's an interesting question. It's one of those, like, I've had to think about it a lot this year, especially because, like, this is a different year when it comes to my special presentations of, like, usually in the past, it's like, all right, he's doing one video and it's going to be about Zelda. He's doing one video and it's going to be about Assassin's Creed. And I think this is the first time it's like, all right, he's doing 4 videos and we'll talk about them when we're ready to talk about them. And I love doing those. I love having kind of like time to just kind of like figure out what I want to write about, take the time to write it, make a very curated experience of a video. And it was funny, Janet, whenever she was last up here, her brother had recently watched the Batman videos that Roger and I worked on. and he was like, "Oh my god, these are great. Why is Barrett not on content more?" And here's the simple fact: I think I suck at podcasts. I'm gonna be honest, and I think that's kind of my theater kid upbringing, where it's like, even though I founded the improv club in high school, I don't think I was the best at improv. Whereas like I was trained with a script, knowing a script, drilling that into my head over and over and over again, and like having a thing where it's like I know where I'm going from point A to point B. Whereas the more improv side of it, of podcasts and stuff, I just don't think I'm as natural at it. And so it's one of those things where I don't know, as far as like on camera kind of thing, at least the on camera side of Kinda Funny, I don't know if there's really anywhere I do want to go further than just like, being on the Star Wars stuff when we do the Star Wars stuff, and then doing a special presentation every once in a while. And that's just because, I think after a couple of years, I've started to see where I shine on certain things, and knowing when to kind of pull back and be more of just like in the background doing director stuff. And that's actually where I kind of like want to focus more on probably in the next couple of years, especially like being back in here and not running a show from my home where it's literally like I press 3 buttons in the course of like an hour, and I'm mainly taking time codes of like having even the simple thing of having the switcher back.
Exactly.
And like being able to fuck around with tech stuff. Like I don't think I'll ever get to the level of how Kevin understands technology and how to bring all of this together. But I think that's where I kind of like want to kind of grow in the next couple of years, of at least getting a little bit closer to Kevin, his understanding of at least like, I know how things work. I don't know how to like fucking put it all together essentially. Yeah. So I want to kind of like hone that stuff. And then going back to like the more on camera stuff, I think I'm at a solid point of like being on a podcast once in a blue moon, and then, making my special presentations when like the inspiration strikes, right? I talked about this on one of the Gregways that I did when Greggy was out, where when I came to you about the 4 video essay idea for the Patreon bar goal and stuff, like the last 2 video essays, like we've already done God of War, we've done Jedi, and those were part of like the original kind of pitch I had. The last 2 videos that I have left are not the original ideas, and that's because like when I was coming up with these ideas at the time, I was like, these are really cool, and like I don't have like quite like a solid like vision of what they'll be, but we'll get there. And then the closer I got to like having to think of like the production for the third video, I was like, I actually really don't want to do this idea, and I kind of fucking hate this idea. And it was luckily that I had like kind of 2 other ideas kind of in the back of my mind of like, why don't we just do this and like, roll with this and stuff like that. So that's another interesting thing of like not doing more special presentations, or, not doing like a once a month or anything, but like finding when like everything kind of strikes at a perfect time to bring those together. Cause they are passion projects, going back all the way to Zelda in Review, right? And I like to take time with those and make sure that they're kind of like in my vision, as like weird and very niche as they are. So yeah.
Yeah, man, you touched on a lot there, and so much I super agree with, where it's like finding ourselves and finding each other in the team of like, what are people good at? Who should be on this? Who should be running this? Who should be all this stuff? And I love that there's not an answer that we have to live by. In the same way you tell me like, hey, you don't really like the podcast, or you don't like the improv stuff, and finding your voice there. I think that's great, because I like to hear everyone can try everything and work at it. And if you want to get better, we have the plentiful opportunities for all that.
Right.
But when you're good at something, it's like, cool, I can do this. And like, I feel like your script writing and like what you're saying about the performance and all of it, it's like, you get it. You get the production in a way that I really appreciate. And I'm always thrilled to see whatever you come up with. And I don't want to ask you to do something consistently. I want to ask you to, whenever you have an idea, let's go, and like when there is that passion and that spark, like let's deliver on that promise of what you see in your head as much as possible.
Right.
And it's just been awesome to be able to find that balance. I say this a lot, and I always want to keep saying it, that like, we do our consistent content and the core stuff and the Patreon stuff, ad free, and then the sponsorships and the ad reads in the podcast we do and all that as our consistent stuff that we want to have the quality. We want to make sure everything we're doing we actually believe in. But then all that allows us to do these things inconsistently, when we want to, how we want to, without needing it to hit a goal or it to hit numbers or hit it to do whatever. It's just like the point of it is we believe in it and we want to push it. So I think that stuff has been really awesome. And like I'm so so jealous that you guys get to do this stuff. But
I mean, you can do it too.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's literally for me. It's more just like
Time.
spending all the time trying to figure out the consistent stuff to be able to do the stuff. That's where it gets hard.
Yeah.
But then I also have found like, you know, what my place in content of like what I'm good at, what I'm less good at, and all that stuff. And it's been, you know, it's an ever evolving process.
Right.
But I just think it's really cool to see everyone here kind of like over the years hone that and find that and how it works with others. You bringing up the Kevin in the tech side, it's like, you know, Kev does know more tech stuff than you do. However, you get how to use, you have a more concise vision, I think, of like implementation, a theory of it all. And so I always find it interesting of like, what project should Kevin run versus Barrett? And there's a difference. And sometimes, either's fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, this requires more of a Barrett mind. This requires more of a Kev mind. And I like that. It's like, I love that it's not there's not an answer to every question, but it's like, I feel like we have really good starting points because we all bring such unique qualities.
We all have our specialties.
Yeah, it's just, it's cool stuff, man.
Yeah, I want to shout out, you know, of course, the best Patreon exclusive show, the Kinda Funny Next Gen podcast, which I think has like allowed me, especially being in studio, to like kind of figure out what I am on a podcast, especially with like Blessing and Roger, who I've known before a work context and have been friends with them for years and years and years. And so I think like being able to do that with those two are like kind of the perfect kind of dipping my toes in every once in a while to be like, all right, what is my role on a podcast that is kind of free form, fucking whatever we're talking about, as opposed to like a games cast where I say, fuck, what was the thing that I said on that Jedi preview like a million times in one episode? I know I said a phrase over and over again, but it was also, I was just really nervous too.
That stuff's hard, man. I mean, it's
especially for previews. When was the last time I previewed a game?
Sekiro
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I did that, I think, in the first month and a half of working here.
Yeah, it's all stuff that you just kind of, I tell the story a lot, but when you're just around people, you kind of learn how to do stuff even if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
So it's funny just like listening to podcasts. You can kind of be on a podcast and talk like you're on that podcast. You can't nail it, but you can kind of do your best kind of version of it. And I think that's a good starting point, that when you've been around this so long, it's like, all right, cool, I know how to do this, even if I've never done a preview. When you do a preview, you do a great job every single time. And it's like, because you just know how to do it. It reminds me of when I was when DDR was like popping off and I was obsessed with it.
When is it not popping off?
Yeah, well, exactly. But it was when it was like the phenomenon, going to arcades every week. Like there was a summer where every day I was at Pier 39 playing DDR. And going down there and like my friends, some of them would try, but like they weren't into it. But my best friend Curran never played, but saw me play so often. And then one day he tried playing. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna just try it hard. Like I've seen you do it. I know how to do this. And he fucking kicked ass.
Hell
and
yeah.
it's like this weird thing of just like being around it long enough. You're like, oh, I see what's going on here. And it's like the dumb little like
It's its own sort of form of education.
100%. Yeah. So that stuff's cool. But then
thank you for the
Sean, aka Shabe Raven, says, Barrett, what do you miss most about doing game capture, if anything?
Oh man, I was thinking about this a lot recently, because this is, I try to think about B-roll a lot, as some call me the fastest fingers in the West when it comes to bringing up B-roll, and it's literally just like trying to kind of stay with a conversation, whether it's on Games Daily or Gamescast, or Gamescast doesn't have like a big preview or review. It's more of like, hey, what have we been playing? And just trying to like searching YouTube as quick as possible just to bring things up that's can be as relevant as possible, because something that I kind of put into this is going to be a weird roundabout way to get to game capture. When I started directing shows at IGN, kind of like one of the philosophies I had with the person that wasn't really my boss, but was like a person I reported to essentially for directing podcasts. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like 4 people just like sitting at a table. Like, when they're talking about a game, let's try to show the game for like the video viewers who might not have seen this game before. And so that's like, I've always kind of had that mindset of like try to show as much as possible. And I think like we also had that with like Up at Noon, because Up at Noon was like, at least when I was doing it, very like showing clips heavy. And so yeah, to like bring that back to video capture stuff, like whenever like we're building up to like a release of like for a review for a
major game
games cast, like I'm always like fuck, I wish we had an extra code so I could like go in and like capture stuff, and like shout out to like Blessing did a lot of his own capture to show off and stuff, which was awesome. For game capture itself, because if you don't know, that was like the job I had at IGN, starting as a contractor and then eventually full time. I was essentially like one of the people who'd like do the first 15-minute videos, graphics comparisons, just funny like things that we thought would be cool to show and headline and all that stuff. And I'm trying to think. I really liked doing the like every cutscene videos. I didn't do many, but still my most viewed video on YouTube still to this day is the Injustice 2 every cutscene, which I think is at like millions of views or something like that. And it's like I loved
So funny.
I
When
loved
I was an
editing.
intern at IGN. I did that for Mortal Kombat. That was every cutscene in any Mortal Kombat ever up until at that point. It was leading into 10.
Jesus
That was
Christ.
a long time ago.
And so I loved editing that video because I decided to not just do every cutscene, because you would get some of like the important dialogue leading into a fight. So I would like also do like a transition into that dialogue and then transition into like them getting like whoever you're fighting gets fucked up, and then like transitioning into like the closing dialogue and then into the cutscene. Because for me, I felt like it added like
Makes it a movie.
if you want it, if you want
of it.
exactly. So like I didn't want to just do all right cutscene and here stuff. I wanted to give like the kind of fuller context, so someone who could sit down and just like watch the the entire Injustice 2 story, they didn't walk away being like, I feel like I missed a thing here or there, which is funny because I remember like one of my one of my standout memories of IGN was watching IGN's every Injustice cutscene video, because I don't think I had the money to buy it yet, so I wanted to fucking know what the story was because it looks cool. So I liked editing stuff like that. And like weird goofy things. Like eventually we started having fun with graphics comparisons, especially with all the remakes coming out. So I remember doing a graphics comparison of Spyro. When the new Spyro trailer came out, like I recreated it going into all the Spyro games. We also did a Spider-Man 2018 versus Spider-Man 2 graphics comparison that I just like. Silly shit like that I do miss. I don't miss the month that Sam had me capture. Fuck, what's the really popular like literally
Bird?
No, like the match 3, like the very big one, match 3 game that I'm blanking on. Candy Crush.
Oh, gotcha.
I had to play Candy Crush for like a month because Sam and like I know like Sam's trying to work the wiki game, and Sam really wanted to Sam Claiborne wanted to like get in on like the wiki side of Candy Crush, which I don't know if that ever really panned out, because I feel like Candy Crush is like kind of randomized per level to an extent. But I know he was trying to get on that like bored at home parent in the middle of the day playing Candy Crush, looking up like solutions and shit. I did that for like a month straight. That I don't miss. That was where I think I came home one day and I was like, I think I hate my job.
Yeah. God, it's
that, and when I had to fucking recapture the beginning of Shadow of War like 15 times because I was trying to do a graphics comparison, and there was always one setting that was wrong, because I remember like it was Destin and someone else who were like very like, you have to have these specific color settings on a PC versus a PS4 versus an Xbox, and it was on me, but it was still just like, oh my god, this sucks. So yeah. The roller coaster of being in this industry.
100%. And then Sean also writes in saying, Tim, how does the daily sub goal fit into the company's budgeting? Is that just considered bonus budget for the company? What is considered the stable operating budget? Is it based on the KF Day subathon first and foremost every year, and then everything after that is additional? You know, it's really funny. Like as the like business guy at Kinda Funny and like programming lead in terms of content and all that stuff and just making it all work, I don't think about anything in the way that you presented that. Like I've never once thought about budgets. It's more like, what do we want to do? How much time do we have? How can we do it all? And what can we do consistently, and what should be more one-off things? Because the most important thing for me is consistent weekly content that we know that we can deliver on, want to deliver on. Because once we have that, Then I figure out how to sell that package.
Right.
Like that's the most important thing. And selling that package means a value to Patreon, value to sponsors, value to like all that stuff. That's where like budget comes into play. So that's kind of more understanding like I'm always trying to maximize all the parts of that. Optimize, maximize, like all the things, right? But it all comes back to what content do we want to make and what content do you guys want? And then figuring out what's the best way to make as much money from that as possible, right? But while being realistic and not overdoing things, not over promising. Like that's just how I've seen so many people fail. My entire strategy at Kinda Funny is to not let us fail. And it's silly
It's a good strategy
to say that, but it's like I feel like so many other people are like bigger, 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 and I'm like, I know I say that sitting here in front of all this, but it's like the reality is this was designed to allow us to do so many things turnkey with the team that we have at a very high quality level, and we do that. And I feel like so many other people buy fancy studios and then don't use them.
And this is like one of the things that was also built in mind was like running this kind of set, and I think this was like something that needs to be explained to a lot of, or not to the audience here. I think they get it, but like whenever I talk to people who don't know us or anything, of like showing them the studio, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, one person runs this.
That's it."
You know, and that like designing that around, it's either usually just Kevin or me in there in the back, running it all and designing it for that kind of stuff, and designing it to the point where like if Kevin and I are out one day and you know Roger, who has never run a show in here, can go in there and like figure it out. Yeah,
it's like, and that's the thing is like it's not perfect by any means. We're kind of pushing forward in a way that no one else has.
We've been trying to get some specific things working for like the last couple of months that I think Kevin is like kind of sadly deflated on, but
right now.
Yeah, for right now. But I did tell him, I was like, hey, the cool thing about it though is like we're kind of ahead of our time.
We
like,
really are, dude.
Tech-wise,
the things that we are
a cool thing to say, like an upsetting thing to say right now, but it's still really we're like Howard Stark at the end of Iron Man 2.
Straight up, man. The things we're doing right now in the studio are so ahead of the times, and at the same time, like what we're doing is already incredible. But what we're trying to do is even more incredible.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do, the more incredible stuff, is just to make it simpler and easier to be able to do like,
and it's all
more,
and it's all things that like you as the audience would not like, even if we did figure that stuff out on the back end, you probably wouldn't notice the difference, but that's part of the goal, right? Is to not have it be noticeable, of like making it all work as smoothly as it can, you know?
When we first made the first real Kinda Funny studio, right? Where we had the video wall that's now the video floor. The entire concept was we only have one space, but we have at that point 5 different shows or whatever it was. How do we make them all look different, even though they're not?
God, remember those fucking walls?
I know. So we had those
walls.
fake walls, which was like so ahead of the time.
Oh
like,
yeah,
and the physical practicalness of it. It's like there was a quality there.
You only saw that kind of stuff at like really big conferences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now here it's like we have this, which obviously is huge and so versatile for what we are capable of doing. But from every step of the process, from pre-production to production, all the way to post-production, our entire thing is keep it simple. Like it looks so wild, but we have a robot jib. Like I'm so proud of this damn jib because like so many people didn't believe it. They didn't believe it was going to work and whatever. And I get that because
I remember you told me and I was like, all right, we'll see, man.
Because no one's ever cracked the code on jibs. You see jibs at E3, at Comic-Con.
There's always a guy man. You got to have a guy man.
You need a jib operator. And for a jib operator, you need a assistant director or whatever calling the shots for the jib motions and all that. Guess what? We got something that we can pre-program in jib motions, so it's a button press. And then this thing just goes. So theoretically, if somebody wants to be hands-on in control, they can, literally manually or just through the software. Or you hit a button, the jib just starts moving. It adds hella production value to our stuff, but no extra work to anyone else. It's like those things, those decisions times 1,000. So going off of all that, like that is the type of stuff for me. Like, but when I think budgeting, I don't think money. I think time. And resources.
Time is money.
Like that, and my whole thing is like the money's going to come if we just keep doing, if we do what we believe in. So for me, worrying about budgeting, I am worrying about who is on what and when and what else are they on that day and when's this going live. And this week is going to have a huge review for a game, so that means our entertainment coverage. Like maybe we could do some in reviews for a franchise that's not as popular because I'm balancing out. Like I need consistency. Like that is the one thing I need. And we've gotten to a point where it's down to a damn science, man. Like we know what we do and we do it each and every week, and it pretty much never changes. There'll be an outlier where it's like super high. You can't count on those.
Yeah.
I can't count on a Phil Spencer interview. When we get it, it's super nice. When we have this built-in system of we know what we're doing, so when we get a win, it's just a win. It's not like reinventing the wheel.
Right.
That goes back to the Twitch streams. We do them every day. We figure out all the stuff like the daily sub goals and all that stuff. All of that are mechanisms to keep making the stuff we want to do that you guys want. None of it is like, we got to hit this or else there's a problem. It's always trying to come up with fun ways to keep the content engaging, and it has to be monetized. There has to be money to make it all happen, or else we don't stream. Like, people don't understand that every day, Kevin, Mike, Nick, and Andy, some combination of them, for
3 hours.
3 hours on content. That doesn't even include the getting into it and all that stuff. Like, that is so much time of the day for half our company, right?
That's a lot of time to be staring at a screen, the light like right in front of your face, then to also do other content. So
and then also be on other shows, and then on top of that, not just be on shows. Like, we're stepping on our own toes, putting out content when that's live, but then there's another thing live, and there's a screencast we're doing, and it's like all of these decisions. That's the budgeting of resources to figure out maximizing what we want to do and what y'all want. So again, I appreciate your patience. We're always trying different stuff. Like, when we do any of the thermometer streams, any of that stuff, it's like, it's always just to be able to do more. None of it is, this is literally the money we are raising for this. That's just not how Kinda Funny works.
Right.
And I feel like we understand that, and it's hard to explain. But if you guys, you show up, you get it.
Yeah.
And then Eric Myers writes in saying, "What's up, guys? With you two being the Star Wars boys in the office, what upcoming project are you most looking forward to? I'm personally hyped for Acolyte, just to see an era we haven't yet seen in live action. Thanks for all you do. Hopefully one day we can all share a fuzzy tauntaun at the cantina in Galaxy's Edge."
I love that fuzzy tauntaun.
Fuzz it up, dude.
Make my mouth numb.
But let me rephrase this to you. Is there any shot it's not Ahsoka for you?
Yeah, no, like, I don't think anything can overtake my hype for Ahsoka right now. And it's kind of a perfect time that I found the podcast More Civilized Age, which is Rob Zachney, Austin Walker, Alia Campora, and Natalie Watson, all with like various degrees of Star Wars fandom. And they essentially, the premise was to go through the Clone Wars show first. Like, post that, they've been doing Andor, and I think they're moving on to Rebels now, but that has been such the perfect build up to like Ahsoka, of like seeing where the show, like seeing where her and her first show were at fucking 15 years ago. And like, there's so many things that they pick up on that I'm excited to like, oh, I can't wait for this episode that I know that they're going to get to, and like see how they react to it. So that's been like and now knowing that they're doing Rebels, which I feel like Ahsoka is just season 5 of Rebels. I'm so excited to get to there and kind of just like refreshing a little bit going into Ahsoka. So yeah, no, there's no shot that anything can like really overtake Ahsoka. Like, I could say the Filoni movie, but I feel like the Filoni movie is just kind of the sequel to Mandalorian and Ahsoka, you know? So
yeah. I mean, with that, my answer is Hand of the Empire, baby. Let's go. Like, if we get this, if it is what I expect it to be, like getting all these characters after hopefully some more wins. Hopefully Ahsoka's amazing. And like getting Ahsoka and Mando and this like cast of characters we have, in addition to my boy Luke Skywalker. Getting a Dave Filoni-led Luke Skywalker vision. Give my boy a shot in a film. I think that it's not too late to recast him. I think it's not too late to figure that stuff out. And I'm hopeful that that's the case.
I saw the dude that does the body performance.
Just give it to him.
He looks enough like Hamill that like just do it.
Just do it, man. So that would be my answer. But besides that, the other movie, the Rey movie, the sequel, what I imagine is going to be episode 10. I'm excited for that. I feel like because
I feel like there's a story to tell. Because I know everybody was dunking on it of like, you know, Rey's going to try to bring back the Jedi Orders. Like, we've already tried this twice and it's failed. But like, but there's a story you could tell there about like, why do they keep failing? You know. And that's it. Yeah, I'm very excited for that. And I'm also very excited. It's going to be like the first Star Wars movie directed by a female of color. Like, yeah, there's a lot going for that movie that I think not enough people are giving credit for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for them. I hope they happen. I still don't have full faith with all that. But in terms of the shows,
yeah, remember the Lando show that we were supposed to get?
I mean, it's still not canceled, and the droid spinoff thing, which is weird. But
right,
a droid story. But yeah, I in terms of the shows, I'm excited for Ahsoka, but I don't have that personal connection of
Gotta finish Rebels.
Like I'm still working on it.
I know,
and I love Rebels, man. It's so damn good. But like this is one where I'm happy you're getting this win. You know. But besides that, I was so enamored by Andor that like Andor season 2, I just can't wait for it. But at the same time, I can't imagine it being as good as season 1. But hopefully it is.
Especially with like the writer strike stuff that's going on right now. Like Ahsoka, it seems like it's done production. Like right now, it's more in like post production, which is good. But yeah, with like. We'll see what happens to Andor season 2 because all of that makes me really nervous. Not saying like the writers shouldn't be striking, like they have a lot to be fighting for as workers, but that like I do worry about like what the end result of that show becomes. Does Disney try to kind of continue production on that? I know what's his face is not currently like working on it right now. What's it, the
Luna?
No, the showrunner, and I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, I had it too.
He's also the writer, and because he's showrunner / writer, he's not working on it right now, in solidarity with the strike. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they try
Tony Gilroy,
thank you.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if they try to continue production on that with what they have already. It's going to be weird. So that is one that like if you asked me like 3 months ago, like fuck yeah, Andor season 2 right now, I'm like we'll see. See. Maybe it will be a Heroes 2 situation, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let us know in the comments below what Star Wars project you're
Let us know in the comments below what that fucking Zelda track is from.
Yeah, and that too. We need to know. But hey, real quick, I want to say with Star Wars stuff is like, what are we most anticipating? My answer would have been Survivor, and Survivor delivered.
Survivor's so good.
It freaking delivered, man.
So good.
So talk about Star Wars in the comments. Engagement. Thank you for your support on Patreon. Thank you for everything. Until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.